we are live, ladies and gentlemen, and we have Sacha Fossa in the house again to talk to us about lots of interesting stuff. And how are you, Sacha?
I'm well. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. It's been a rough week, but I feel really grateful to just to get to play like this and to connect with more people.
Oh, that's great.
And how are you? You said you're just coming out of lockdown. That must be a celebration for today.
Yes. That was what I was telling you, that I was like very worried because like that today we're going to have you on and the internet was doing crazy. And I'm like, maybe it has to do with that, you know? So yes, today is like a party, you know, like.
Yeah.
So let's start. I mean, today the subject of today is how to be like okay, we are lucky. Today we still have like a curfew, but we got out of the lockdown today. But other people aren't, and so today we're going to talk about that, about how when we are in situations that are less than ideal, how to enjoy ourselves and enjoy receive pleasure and anything during these times. So tell me.
Well, you know, with coming up on this topic, it was really interesting because I was really having I mean, so let's see. We have not been in lockdown here or had quarantine since last spring, but I'm kind of in a self-imposed lockdown because I have trauma in relation to masks, and so there is still here in the town I live in a mandate that I can't walk down the street out of my house, even for fresh air kind of thing, without a mask. You cannot go into any stores or any place without the mask. So to me, not only is it traumatizing where I have panic attacks if I wear a mask, seeing people, and especially children with masks on, causes a lot of emotion and panic attacks for me.
Can imagine. Like
so I don't go out. I don't live my life the way I used to, and I've been as restricted. It's like been a lockdown, right? With that said, so how do you survive when all your pleasures are being stripped away, including your basic rights, your business, right? I'm a small business owner. 90% of my business was in person. People that wanted my hands on them doing energy and body work. That's gone, right? So it's been like a life skill that I've had to seriously deepen and dive into to make it through the past year. I'm also single. I live alone, and one of my cats died, which was like, I have 2 cats, right? So it's like half my family was gone like that. I don't have family other than my cats and dear friends. So you know, when you're in any situation, whether it's like you're a family in lockdown or you're just, you know, basically stuck in, the level of trauma on the planet is enormous right now, right? So what I really want to talk about today is how simply choosing what feels better to you each day and microdosing and then macrodosing some pleasure into your life, like your life depends on it, because it actually does, right? The research of pleasure is, right, it increases our immune system, all the good brain chemicals, the oxytocin of the bonding chemical, the dopamine, right? We have these wonderful chemicals that come up in the brain. So whether it's pleasure of like sexual and an orgasm, or whether it's pleasure of how I sip my coffee this morning, right, that I just made, or having a conversation like this, that that can help to unload and unpack some of all the feelings that we're all feeling, or some of us. I don't know how other people are feeling, but I suspect I'm not the only person with some of these feelings that I'm having on the planet right now.
I know that there are many, and what you're saying that the damage on your business, that damages, your finances, that damages
on my freedom, my basic freedom. Yeah, I have a big thing around freedom being taken away that is the most damaging to my personal well-being and soul. So I don't know if other people have freedom as like one of the main qualities that they are like, I don't know if I want to be around on this planet if I don't have freedom, so I'm like, let's get more freedom here. This is really, terrorizing to me that the restrictions are so extreme and that it happens so fast, and there's a lot of questions as to why and all of that. We won't get kicked off YouTube today. We'll keep things in a direction.
Yeah, we will be here today.
Yeah, so to focus on, for me, anything that can make me feel freer, which is like pleasure, works for me. But what I encourage is every person, like, what brings you pleasure, Tibise? What makes you stir inside with, like, those warm feelings and a sense of contentment and well-being in your soul?
I think and that's something I'm not allowed to do now for a while, but are very restricted. What makes me feel good is to go to the beach and swim and just float, and asking element water to wash away anything, and just lie down there and let the sun burn me and burn me and burn me, and I'm just lying there in the water, and then I get out. And I don't dry myself off. I just let the sun dry me off.
Yes,
just lie down magnificent. And not. Hi, Kevin. Sorry, we didn't say hi to you.
Kevin, what is your pleasure? I'd love to hear some comments too. We're talking about pleasure and how to really resource. So we're really this conversation is really about how do you resource yourself daily. And can you do it with more pleasure in your life? And yes, I use, intimate erotic arts as part of my whole plan for how I resource. But, it's what's most important is, what is that for you, right? What brings you pleasure? What lights you up? Because it's going to be different for every person, right?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And yes, and like I said, like you said, you're in a state where you have to wear masks, even on the road. I mean, I only have to in shops. Like if I go to a supermarket, but I've opened an account and got everything delivered. And I see it as an advantage, because since I'm not going to go in there because I'm getting like terrible headache, I'm saving all this money. My hair, the reason why you see like this hair up like this, that
I need a haircut
long and this is short, is because I cannot go to the hairdresser. So I'm cool. I'm okay with just, and so and like you said, like I can be at home in the home, and I can enjoy myself in the garden, and I can be at peace with this, because I have in my heart, I have unwavering faith.
Yeah.
Totally and absolutely unwavering faith that this is not going to last forever. It's very important, because being Dutch, one of the things that we spent lots of time in studying is the Second World War. And the thing that they told us is that when the hunger of December 1944, when we were the most hungry, the Germans were already losing. The only thing is that before, so they lost already in Stalingrad, in Germany. You see? But so things like, so when we were going through the worst, it was already, that means that you're rock bottom, and that now it's going to go better.
Yes,
So,
I see what you're saying. Yes, yes.
So in the hunger of December 1944 and May 1945, 5 months later, Holland was liberated.
Yeah.
So you see what I mean? So like I said, because I have this unwavering faith that this is not going to
see some of that from you today. I can feel that. It feels so good. Your unwavering faith. That's beautiful. Yeah, share some of that with us all.
So, and I know, so that's why it's not unbearable. That's why it's not like, I'm just seeing this as an interesting experiment, actually,
Yeah, well, it certainly is an experiment.
Yeah, and I'm cool with it. I'm cool, and because of this, I met Kevin, and we do our Reiki and those kind of stuff. The reason why we're doing that, because if I didn't have lockdown, I wouldn't be doing none of I mean, I would have never met her.
Swimming at the beach.
Yeah, because because of the lockdown, do you think I'm going to sit here on YouTube watching Reiki, what talking to do? If I'm living on a Caribbean island, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I would be down at the beach or somewhere else.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm here to start off with, and that I met you, and that I met Kevin, and that me and Kevin, and we have a group, and we do Reiki every day together, and so on. And the reason why we've met all these people, and that I'm doing Reiki every morning, is because of the lockdown. Okay. So I'm just enjoying this moment and this situation.
Yeah.
Just like I would just sit in the winter, the hunger of 1944, knowing that May, because the people there, if I would go in a time machine, okay, and I would sit there in Amsterdam, sitting there in 1944, in the hunger, if I would sit there, I would be able to sit there knowing that May, the liberation would come. So but because we don't see the future, but we can see the past. Like if I went in a time machine and I'm in Amsterdam in 1944, I could have that,
Yeah.
But because I don't know the future now, that's why it's so taxing. But in my case, and it's, although I don't know for sure, because the time-space reality doesn't give me any evidence. In my heart, I know that we are just in the winter of 1944.
Yeah,
I know that.
I hear you.
And I have to, and I'm, and your business got hit. My business got hit as well, because I was giving less classes in person. When I switched online, less people are interested, So income has, it didn't disappear, because classes teaching is less sensitive. Like your classes are way more sensitive to touching than mine. So I didn't suffer maybe as much as you, but I did, and I'm okay, I've learned to spend less. I'm staying at home and meeting other people, doing other things that, because I see it this way: or you have a lot of money, or you have a lot of time, and both are blessings. Both are blessings.
Yeah.
When you're
I'll take both. More time, please.
I prefer to have both, but even so that's why it's very bearable.
Well, I think that's the thing. erotic times are nice too, especially when fully present. Yes, I think erotic times are the best, and everything's the best when you're fully present, which brings us back around to our conversation and winding back interweaving Tantra, right? Tantra is about presence. It's being present in the moment. And so much of that is about how much pleasure can you create and be in, right, in that moment, in an erotic experience, and also not in the bedroom, with everything that you're doing, right? It's the presence and the pleasure to the point of bliss and ecstasy, right? And it's not about like feeding it all from the outside. It's about generating it through your own body. With
And
the breath, with just your connection with the divine or source, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So this whole idea, again, I think it's been throughout time, right? That humans have been in horrific situations of torture and enslavement. And how do you survive? How do you cope with the worst of times, right? And even like the best of times. I think, we have to learn how to resource ourselves. And what does that look like? And I'd encourage everyone who's listening to this, what this conversation is really about today is, what is your pleasure? What are your pleasures? Like how do you source pleasure in your body? Right? And how can you prioritize that and choose it more in your daily life, and micro dosing it daily, and also creating larger pleasure experiences, actually putting them into your schedule. I encourage my clients as individuals to create their own pleasure lists ongoing, right? Like have it on your phone, just so, you're feeling down every week too, just automatically start scheduling things in for pleasure daily and then weekly. And then you do the same with your partner. You have like a list on the kitchen if you have partners where you have your together pleasure list. What do we do together that we really enjoy?
Yes.
Right? And you choose one or two activities.
Do you have like very simple things that we can do to feel sexy? Because I know from experience that if you feed yourself, people will find you attractive, and people will we will attract men or women, and people will be like, whoa, while maybe like I might consider myself very plain looking or normal, but if I think that if I like if I work my Swadhisthana chakra in a certain way, although I might think that some way somehow I will be found attractive. I will attract, because like if you find yourself unattractive, you will be unattractive but so you feed yourself somehow you will it will be like projected.
Yes, when you are resourced and in your pleasure, you have an inner glow naturally, right? And this goes even deeper, really. Like pleasure can seem like a very kind of superficial thing, but I'm talking about pleasure that feels so good in your body that it's connection to your soul, right? And so if you're in your pleasure, you're in your alignment with soul or God or goddess, whatever the hell you want to call it. You're in alignment to the larger part of you, right? And you have this glow and you're turned on by life. And it's not like, oh, I hate the like Cosmo, like 10 things you can do to be sexy, right? Yeah, whatever. Like there's a million tools and techniques. Guess what? None of them work if you don't actually feel alive, turned on, and attuned in your body, right? You can do all the rest on the outside, but unless you've really got it in here, like whatever, it's all superficial. So the number one thing you can do is go to the beach and go for a swim, because that's what resources you and makes you feel so juicy, right?
Yes,
that's like turn on.
Yes.
doing Reiki, doing whatever it is like yummy for you and doing just more of that is what brings out for you the joy, the passion, the sexiness, the beauty, right? That inner glow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and be like very strict on that like my pleasure is like my priority. I'm like very strict with this kind of stuff, in the sense that I don't allow people to upset me. I don't allow
Right?
and I don't want to hear anything. Like I understand. I make sure I'm not getting inundated with news or things that are upsetting. So I'm like very mindful of my vibration and feeling good.
Yeah.
And I will lose an argument to my husband and tell him, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
If that will make sure that that he's happy, and that I will I will forgo certain things. Because I don't feel I need to win. I just feel I need to be happy.
Yeah. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy is a great question to ask yourself, especially in relationships with, partners and getting into things. You want to be right. What's more important, connection or being right?
Yes. So, and being like very strict, like I said, with things like arguments, discussions, and those kinds of things. Like if I had to fight with you, for example.
Yeah.
And you would say to me, this and this and this and this. Huh? Before I answer you or react on what you're going to say, I'm going to stop. I'm going to first say, if I did not understand that you said this, and this, to make sure that because if you say something and I'm thinking about going for you, so that means that what I have to take your argument, make like a straw man out of it, so make it small, irrational, so I can attack it. So that's usually how people fight or argue. And that's why people get upset and those kinds of stuff. While if you say something, instead of me straw manning it so I can use it against you to fight with you, if instead of that, I would say, okay, the reason why you're upset with me, Sacha, is because of this, this, and this. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
And you say yes. Okay, now you said yes, so I'm having you already. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm saying like to you, like the reason why I feel this and this and this about what you said, that is this and this and this. So if you communicate in that way, you minimize the fighting, and you avoid like displeasure for yourself and causing displeasure to other people. If you're all the time like wanting to win instead of trying to
have more connection. Yeah.
Yes.
What you're describing, if anyone's interested, is very much a great example of nonviolent communication, which is an awesome modality to take a look at if you want to really get some awesome communication skills and have better relationships. Yeah.
Yes.
Also, empathetic listening is another term, but really nonviolent communication gives you all the tools. I can't think of his name, the man that started nonviolent, that is the founder of the nonviolent communication movement in the books, but it might come back to me. Thank you. This is so nourishing. Good. We want to be nourished, right? We want to get nourished with pleasure and ways, pleasure is healing. It is really like your greatest, choice for healing. I'm trying to think of the man who had cancer. Norman's cousins, maybe. I could be off, but had cancer, terminal cancer, decided to just like lay in bed and watch funny movies.
Yes, I saw something like that.
Right? Completely healed himself. Just watching funny movies and laughing. Right? It was like so yeah, pleasure, life-saving, healing, right? And we're talking here about all types of pleasure. And we're going to talk in the next time, we're going to look at the erotic blueprints, which are like the intimacy languages. So that's going to look more at your pleasure wiring, because we're all wired differently, especially how we like to give and receive love languages, and then intimacy languages, the blueprints that are all about how we're erotically wired. Like your turn on is probably way different possibly than what my turn on is, and it changes throughout a lifetime and even in a day and so forth. But there are some basics we can learn to have a better understanding of our own turn-ons and turn-offs and so forth, and our partners.
I saw like the video, so I know a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And it depends like in the state of mind you are. I've noticed, because I was very interested in that.
Great.
Good morning, Tammy.
Good
Yes,
morning.
I was very interested in that because, and it's true, like how you feel in like when you're in this certain state of mind, you have different needs than in the other state of mind. Sometimes you need like, okay, I'm not going to say because we're going to leave it to next week when we talk about that.
Yeah. But, we'll talk too. It's true with women's cycles. Vulva-bodied, more estrogen-based women, female bodies have with our cycles, we will also change greatly in our erotic desires and needs generally too in a month cycle. So yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was like only my state of mind or how like I felt in a certain day,
but well, the mind is obviously a huge influencer, but also where are your hormones, right? Where are the physiological chemicals, what's brewing, what's going on emotionally, everything, right? Yeah. Do we have any questions yet this morning?
Yeah, we don't have any questions yet. No, we've got like several comments. People, this is your chance. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Sacha.
Yes.
Sacha's here for us. Okay, so she's here for us to answer any questions you might have. Okay. Okay. While we wait for the questions to pop up, about about this pleasure and what is pleasurable and limitations and pleasure because of the things we are in now and so on.
Yeah.
I know like you don't want to give like specifics because it's different for every.
Yeah, we can talk about some general things, right? Especially, I mean, why not orgasm, right? Just self-pleasure in your own body. As far as I know, that's not illegal yet. So
no. No, it isn't.
So even if you're locked up in your house, well, here's the opportunity. There's never been an opportunity like now to spend more time getting to know your body and whoever you're in lockdown else's bed.
You're going to say that you will your partner apart from your fingers and your
yeah, exactly.
You sure you stay 6 feet?
Yeah. Here we go. Let's stay 6 feet from everybody. Okay, well, let's focus here, right? What do we do here? What can we do with this body? How much pleasure can be generated with this body? Right? How many different types of orgasms are possible? Right? And orgasmic living, right? Not just like, like an orgasm here or there or whatever. Orgasm throughout the day, orgasm as a way of life, orgasm as like, how you, again, drink your coffee or eat a piece of fruit or have a conversation, pet your cat, whatever it is. It's like, connect with a tree. It's like orgasmic energy, and the way I look at things like erotic energy is our sexualness, which is our innate life force.
Yes. Oh, second chakra. it's the it's our creation, and like we are we and the whole universe and everything is the result of orgasm.
Yeah.
Like the universe got an orgasm, and that's how our planets were formed, and how everything was built. So, and this is like a very sacred and very special force, and
Yeah.
that can be used and transmuted and employed in many different ways. And I do understand why you cannot say like it's this or that, because everything you create
Yeah.
is done with the Swadhisthana, is done with the second chakra.
Yeah.
And so the ability to create and to feel pleasure in the process of creating, it's it's a different experience for everyone, and that's why it's difficult to be like very specific and
Yeah. Even when you're saying like the creation power, right? I'll just take a little example here on a very physical level. And one particular thing is, birth is set up in a way to be like the most painful position. You're on your back for most women, right? You don't have really control over your body in ways that we did in the past in terms of how we may have birthed children. Starting to change now, but still is pretty much in a Western medical paradigm of how things are done. There's not a lot of pleasure, okay? The idea is from the original sin, right, is that birth is going to be painful. There is a movement out there called ecstatic birth. I would encourage people to take a look at it. There's documentary on Netflix, and you can find information online. And it incorporates a lot of different aspects of things, but there's research and awareness of what if birth was ecstatic, right?
It probably was meant to be, It probably was meant to be, but we got sidetracked.
Yes, completely. They took things away. Like if you stimulate the clitoris, it helps to birth the baby more easily and with some pleasure. Starts to open things up. If the partner is kissing the mouth of the woman in labor, it helps to relax and create chemistry in her body to have an easier birth, right? There's so many things that we have been lied to, coerced around, and so forth that are about, again, pleasure, right? And I would even take it as far as like, what if you're dying, can you make it or as orgasmic as possible and as pleasurable as possible? Like basic life things, fundamental life things, birth, death, living every day, right? Have become this like, it's all about suffering and pain, right? No, that is not what we're here for. We're not designed that way. Our bodies don't work that way. It's like, that is such a falsity of everything that's kind of ruined us as humans, in my opinion. So yeah, even with there's like a conscious dying movement, but which Ram Dass had started, but essentially, I'll even take it to like the word orgasm in French is like le petit mort, right? Yeah. So, if you're on your deathbed, like, can you make it, really orgasmic in some way and have more pleasure in your body, right? And that kind of like an example of things too that I'll say is, there's like Kenneth Ray Stubbs is a man who was very early on the 60s and 70s, like teaching and doing erotic massage and different techniques and tantra and like sacred sexuality and so on. And he had an accident and became a quadriplegic. So like he could have been like, oh, well, that's it, right? No sex life for me, nothing. No, he became a sexual shaman working with the energy in his body to create even bigger orgasms.
Yes.
And have an even bigger erotic life. And learn even more. right? Like he did this total, and to teach other people, right, of how to be able to generate from the inside, right, and the erotic experience. So yeah, and there's so many examples of that, of like when we have to go inwards, right, and you have to resource your pleasure. How do you do it? Or do you just give up, right? You give up and shut down from trauma or whatever else. I can tell you, if that's your plan, you've got one foot in the grave, because if you don't use it, you lose it in terms of sexual energy and health, basic health. You know, if you're not actually creating more erotic expansion. Now, it's fine if you want to be celibate, but you still need to be working with that energy in your body, like the monks or the Dalai Lama does, right? To shut it all down is a death sentence for you. So you may.
Yes, I've seen like a film about gong and semen retention and that the first 100 days, and how they would then later on massage and make sure that that everything works again to avoid our erectile dysfunctions and the male things. But I'm like very curious. There's something I'm very curious about. And maybe you could help. I mean, this is just me, selfish, satisfying my curiosity.
Good. That's good. That's not selfish.
Me, as women, we are the gatekeepers of the womb. So we are the ones who decide who gets to have children, who will have their genes go on forever, and who won't, right?
Yeah.
And I've always been curious about our role as gatekeepers, and what lots of things that are connected to this, and what sacred text is saying about this, and how. Okay, let me try to say it in a simple way. Like the Bible and many religions say that sex before marriage is wrong. And I was wondering, I talked like off record with priests and other like people, because I was curious, like if there was a reason for that. So our role as gatekeepers of the womb and marriage, and only sex within marriage, and so on. And I wanted to know, of course, I understood the basic reason, because the basic reason is legal, right? To make sure certain legalities. But there are people who have money and who don't need that security. So there must be something else. And I was asking, and the reason that I got from everyone is that it has to do with soul ties. That when you have sex with someone, you create a soul tie, and when you that's why, like when you get married, you have this ceremony. You take the soul tie. You as gatekeeper of the womb, you allow in, and when for any reason things aren't working anymore, you get a divorce, even if it's not a legal one. It's like you have like a ritual, and then so, and that's the reason. So actually, like the rabbi I talked to off the records and the priest, they all tell me that regardless of the legal stuff, the spiritual reason has to do with soul ties. That when you have sex, you create soul ties with people. And I was wondering, what's that about? And when you answer that, then I'm going to answer. I want some questions in the chat. I want to like ask something for myself, and then I go to the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still think that that's coercion and part of a perspective that keeps us less empowered. So essentially, yes, if you want to create a soul tie, do it. If you want to just have sex for fun and not create a soul tie, then have sex for fun and clear your energy system of that person. afterwards. Right? I think we have too much again, like religions and different perspectives that want to keep us in a limited perspective. Yeah, they want to limit us. And to me, the consciousness trumps all. So, with that said, that means like if you are somebody that may be a high sexual blueprint, which again, we'll talk about next week or something, right? With the blueprints, or, different type of blueprint wiring where you just really enjoy a lot of sex with different people and variety and experiences, right? You don't have to create soul ties to every single person. But if you're somebody that absolutely is like, I want that one, I want to be with my soulmate, twin flame, whatever it is, if that makes you happy, if that perspective feeds you, and you're creating that in this lifetime, then by all means, do that and do the rituals and the fun parts of creating, and nurturing that soul tie. But yeah, I actually have a interesting. I do a lot of access consciousness stuff. They're a modality of I'll call it a healing arts modality, just to make it simpler. There's a technique that Gary Douglas created as a founder, and it's like a process that you run every day where you destroy and uncreate all your relationships. And it's just an energetic, like cleansing, because we're so stuck with the imprinting of who we think everyone is, depending on our own lens, right? And what our relationships are, and they're built on the past, and this person did this to me, and then this and that. What if like you woke up each day and just destroyed and uncreated all your relationships and started fresh?
Yes.
With like even to yourself, like, who am I today? What if I am undefinable? Right?
Yes. So that can be done like energetically, because like I said, I was very curious about this, because like I was wondering, is it dark controlling, or the reason why I wanted to know this was not so much because of like pointing fingers to other people, but because I was wondering, is it dark? What is dark controlling, and what is sacred text guiding us? For example, like if I go with you to McDonald's and you want to eat three hamburgers and three shakes, I could be a dark controller telling you that's not Sacha. Don't be eating these three hamburgers. That you don't need all that. But it could be that I'm just genuinely, love you, and I'm worried about you eating all this food, because I think, like it's not healthy for you, or that, So I was always
That's
very
such a great question. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I was very puzzled in knowing like which part is dark control and manipulation.
Yeah.
And which part is genuine sacred text. And because the truth and lies have been mixed with each other.
Constantly.
The reason and because they did that, because then it resonates. Like if they tell you a lot of bollocks, you're going to say, but when you mix truth with lie, you will have this cocktail in which certain things will resonate with you, and then you will consume the rest of the garbage as well.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's
what's happening everywhere, right?
So that's why I wanted to know like somebody else, and like it's great that you're telling me like, so there are ways to clean certain.
Yeah, and also I would say again, the main conscious. So we're talking about pleasure here, right? Pleasure as like the avenue to shift everything in your life and create more. But really behind that is consciousness. Consciousness trumps all, right? Being the soul-infused being that you are, being conscious awareness. So all of us have been like enslaved into thinking we have to agree with and listen to everyone else that decides things for us from the time we're children, right? So just that simple example you had around like eating McDonald's or something, right? Whether it's eating McDonald's, who I'm going to have sex with, what I'm doing with my day, Whether I'm taking an injection, an experimental drug or not, you know, whatever it is that your decisions are, people, check in with your bodies. Please don't let your mind be coerced by other people or your ideas of what you think is true about something. Listen to your innate biological energetic system that will tell you if something is lighter or heavier. Again, this comes from actually an access consciousness tool, but it's not just access consciousness. It's just the simplicity of we've all, whether it's like Abraham Hicks guidance or all these different things, whether you, no matter what it is, in every spiritual truth coming down to the actual essence of it, right? Jesus, Buddha, they didn't listen to what the other people were saying to them. They went inside and tuned into their bodies with source energy, right? And that's where they made their decisions from. So we have lost that altogether. And we even get to the point where we tell other people what they should do and override their systems constantly, right? So I just say with everything, right? Instead of like dark, light, good, bad, right, wrong, on, the confusion that creates in the duality, consciousness is neutral, and consciousness is able to, you're in consciousness and you're in your body and you're aligned. You can really feel whether something is true or right for you. That's what's most important. That needs to be your guidance. And that will change in different ways over time, but it's moment to moment. What is, just like, what am I choosing for pleasure, right? What is true? What resonates? What feels lighter in my body? I like to say, you know, lighter and heavier, consciousness versus anti-consciousness. And I will call anti-consciousness evil. But I really struggle with dark and light because the feminine is the darkness.
Yes, that's true.
Archetypally. So, you know, when we get into like dark is bad, we're just really fucking ourselves as females completely. Yes. Right? Us that align with being feminine beings, right? And we're like dirty, unholy, dark, on and on bullshit, right?
So linguistics, the words that they taught us to get us.
That's. Do we have questions?
The inner guidance system. Okay, let's go to the questions here. Like, do you think having the wrong kind of sex drain your energy?
What a great question that is. If it's the wrong kind of sex for you, certainly, right? If you're judging it as the wrong kind of sex, you are going to be drained. Is it true that if you, especially if you have a more testosterone-based, like cock-bodied, and you are climaxing, ejaculating, and then you're exhausted and then you're drained? Yeah, because you're not cultivating your sexual energy and you're not building it up and expanding it. And that can happen in female bodies too. So can you be drained from sex, whether it's right, wrong, good, bad, or whatever? Yes. And if that's happening, then come to me, I'll teach you new techniques so you'll never be tired again. And you can make love for days on end, nonstop. Keep going and enjoy yourself. That's what I can design a program for you in that. So yeah. And again, if you are judging it as wrong, then absolutely it's going to drain you. So to look at, again, come next week, look at the erotic blueprints and we'll find out yours so that you can find what does create more energy and arousal in your body instead of draining you. With that said, also, I would check in, is the person that you're having sex with a sexual like vampire and draining your energy? Yes. Right? Because that is a real thing. So check in too with your body about whether it wants to have sex with this person or not. Right? With this, like, I like to ask about, would this contribute to me. Body, will this contribute to my life and to me right now, right? And I'll be the first to say that I've had moments where I'll completely override that and be like, my body's like, do not do this. And I'm like, whatever. Like, but I can tell you there's always consequences, and they're usually not pleasant ones that come with that experience. So you live and you learn, and you keep making new choices.
Yes, but and because, like I said, because this is a very heavy subject, I'm always super interested, and that's why I wanted to know what the sacred texts say. I wanted to research this so deeply because
well, the sacred text, let's talk about that for a second. Sacred texts, most of the real original sacred texts have disappeared, right?
Yes, because
or are hidden. So if you go back to the Gospel of Thomas and the texts that were later found that had to do with Mary Magdalene, they included some things around sacred sexuality. And, Jesus had practiced sacred sexuality. Most of the mystical sides of many religions have a side, the mystical sides, where sacred sexuality is there, which means sex is seen as sacred and positive, right? Instead of as negative, needing to be controlled, animalistic, only for procreation, all that bullshit, right? But I would say you even go back further and further, right? And if you start to, just back to Marija Gambudis, I'm probably saying the first name wrong, who I did a lot of studies.
Later on, you can write it down in the comments.
Yeah, I will. I'll put something about that. She was just one of the main archaeologists who did a ton of research around matriarchal cultures, right? The cultures that existed before patriarchy, where sex was not taboo. It was considered wonderful, part of nature, was, it was exalted as sacred and beautiful, right? So, so it depends on how far you go back and so forth. But again, I just, does it feel true to you, and what feels lighter to you in your own life to choose is what's most important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes, consciousness trumps all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see if there are any other people. We have a couple of minutes. So, oh yes. Here.
So actually come back next week, because we're going to talk about the blueprints. We're going to get all the information you can to start to determine what yours are, to find out what your partners are. We'll give you a little introductory course, and I'll guide you to where to take a quiz and find out how to do that. So yeah. Well, actually, if you want to take the quiz ahead of time and then ask questions, I just ask that you do it all through my website. So when I get off, I will I'll put the quiz link in the comments to this, and then you can take it ahead of time if you like, and you can come back next week and ask more questions about it. But we will do an introductory course on the blueprints.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I've done it, and it's very helpful. It will deepen your understanding in ways you can. I mean, I was very impressed. It was a very
excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been doing the blueprint stuff about 6 years, I think now, but it's become every part of my life, and erotic and healing arts, and it's interwoven like Tantra has been for 20 years. Now the blueprints are as much a part for me of expanding my erotic life, staying healthy, being alive, getting more alive instead of going unconscious on this planet at this time. So
yes. Definitely.
Any other questions?
Let me see. I don't see any others.
Thanks for being here, Rita, and
yes. I think we're
Kevin.
Rita, like I said, next week you're going to get you will get even we're going to go deep into that. You're going to love it, I know for sure. Hi, Anne. How are you? Glad to have you here. Um, Gabriela, I mean, I answered one of your questions, but want to just thank you just to be here. I really appreciate it and hope you're going to be here again next week because it's going to be very, very, very much worth it. Okay, let me see if, yes, I think I've answered all the questions in the chat. Look here, look here. Yes, I think we've answered everything.
I think if we were going to like sum up today, right? It would be.
Yes, we can do like now. That's a good idea. We can do like.
It would be like choose my business and life motto now is choose pleasure as a way of life, right? And then we can add to that consciousness trumps all, right? So be conscious, expand your consciousness. Whatever feels lighter to you is an expansion in your consciousness, to be sure. So,
yes.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
So, thank you, Gabrielle. Like this is like a great way to round up the show. I mean, I just want to ask all the viewers, thank you. I would say thank you to Sacha. I mean, you cannot imagine how much I appreciate it. You could be anywhere in the world right now, and you're here with me. You know, what else?
I love to be here with you.
And and I'm sure that everybody here in the room will have be able to ask questions, to enjoy picking your brain, and I'm sure everybody's like very grateful as well. And hope that we can meet next week again.
I'll be here next week.
Okay, so that we can go deeper, dive deeper, and find out even more stuff.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait. Let's do it.
Okay, then.
Everyone's home play. Home play is to see how much you can prioritize pleasure this week. Create a pleasure list for yourself. Maybe one with your partner of what you and your partner really enjoy doing. And if you have kids, I say create a pleasure list, put it on your fridge, have the kids get involved with it, right? And then you choose activities throughout the week or schedule them in, right? So how much more pleasure, people, can you have in the next week? And how much more can you listen to your body and what's lighter to expand your consciousness instead of being in the mind and thinking right, wrong, good, bad, whatever, and listening to outside instead of inside.
That's great. Okay, so you see, like people can't wait. So
awesome.
This is going to be fabulous.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tiviste. Thank you.
Okay. I'm looking forward to see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone in the room.
Bye,
Love you all.